Welcome to Innovation Illuminated, a podcast where guest entrepreneurs and experts in the field of business share their experiences and knowledge learned through their journey in the business world. I am your host, Hunter Pirock, and similar to these guests, I am also an entrepreneur. Today's guest is Chad Baker. Chad is the owner of Lakeside Dock and Lift, along with the owner of Sconsin. Lakeside Dock and Lift is a business that specializes in dock and lift sales for a lake. So the dock that you walk out on and then the lift to put your boat on. They also do installs for docks and lifts. Chad acquired this business, so he bought it out in 2021 and has expanded it into multiple locations. We talk about the process of buying smaller locations and growing them into a great successful business. Sconsin is a business that is a wake surf lessons service. I also own a wake surf lessons business, so it's interesting to listen to me and Chad chat it up about our passion for this service business. About halfway through the podcast, we have someone come knocking on the door that is interested in buying a boat that one of us has in inventory. It's super funny, and what are the odds that somebody comes in and asks for a boat that one of us actually has? So you can listen to this. I kept it in, and I think it's super fun to keep in. We're coming to you from Chad's office since it's probably 15 degrees in northern Wisconsin right now, so we are unable to film on a boat or a dock like I would like to, but we're in his office, which is very warm and cozy compared to what it is outside right now. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and thanks for tuning in to Innovation Illuminated. All right, we'll start. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
This is exciting.
Thanks for having me.
And I wish that we could do it on a Mastercraft.
That would have been fun.
Or at the lake. How fun would that have been on a dock or something?
Cool floating on the dock.
Yeah, but our businesses are summer and it's what, 20 degrees outside?
It is. I don't even know if it's 20 degrees actually. Is it? It's pretty cold.
It's crappy.
So
especially with the wind chill. Well, let's start out. I like to start out with all the guests with talking about some jobs that they had growing up.
Sure.
Maybe like a first job or experiences that you had with like early on jobs.
Yeah, early on jobs. My first job was being a business owner. Actually, I started a lawn care business at probably the ripe age of 12.
Really?
Just helping some people in the neighborhood and charging $20 a time and mowing grass, and it was kind of a funny thing, I guess, in that I learned a lot about, price increases and cost to doing business and all of that stuff at a very young age. I was lucky my dad had been a business owner since I was a kid, so I kind of just fell into it and did that. The grass mowing continued into high school. I was a golfer, and so I ended up working at a bunch of different golf courses throughout my high school and college career. That was my primary job in the winter. I think I worked at Menards for a couple winters.
Okay.
Wasn't a huge fan of the big box life, but so it was fun. It was the golf business was something that I was passionate about. It was fun to get up and go to work and be on a golf course. So it was a cool job.
So did you start out with the lawn mowing? How many clients did you say you had? Did you just do lawn mowing?
I think at my peak I had 3 clients.
Okay. So it was just a small start.
It was a super small start.
Okay. And you already had all the gear and stuff, so you didn't have to buy anything.
I just used my parents' mower, my parents' gas, and so I was 12 years old.
Yeah. So same thing as I started out pretty much. I did the same thing. I had the gear.
Yeah.
We had it all, and I just did the neighborhood at first, and then I expanded to do a little bit more.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So right now I got I don't know, maybe 15 weekly cuts or something
nice.
that I do. So
cool.
Yeah, I expanded a little bit. So what did your dad do for business?
So he was a carpenter by trade, and in 1983, when I was 5 years old, they built a bowling alley, actually, a bar and bowling alley in Waukesha. And so they ran that from 1983 to 1991. They sold it, and then he actually started his own construction company. And,
okay.
So he was a general contractor. He built pretty big houses and did a good job. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's segue into how you got into water sports. Did you grow up doing water sports too?
I did. We had a lake home when I was a kid, starting at probably 2 years old. I think we bought our first lake home. So being on the water, in the water was always just kind of part of the deal. My mom was a teacher. So we would go to the lake literally for the summer. It was about 2 hours away from home. And
okay.
We would kind of head up there and spend, weeks at a time at the lake, which was awesome. And it started with, kneeboarding and skiing and tubing and all the typical stuff. And then as you get older and the skiing kind of started to diminish, it was 2007, a buddy of mine who's a boat salesman in the area called and said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? We're going surfing. You want to go?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, we have beer on the boat, just come. So I ended up riding along. He had a Shamrock Pilot House boat that was an inboard. And we have a picture on our Instagram of the actual first surf
Really?
boat.
Okay.
But it was super cool. It looked like a little tugboat, and they would put a ballast bag in the corner, and we were surfing in 2007.
Really?
And it was just one of those things that since then, I mean, it was looking back 2007. There wasn't a lot of there was basically nobody else doing it.
Right. 2011 is when it really kicked off.
It was early. There was no surf systems in the boats. There was nothing. It was just us just kind of screwing around. So it's hard to find boards and all of that stuff. But as technology caught up and as the boat manufacturers caught up, it took off. And then in winter of 2015-16, kind of made the decision that there was probably an opportunity to get more people involved. It was something we had done. We don't know how many hundreds of people we've taught over the years through just friends and family and random people, that it was like, hey, I think there's an opportunity. And obviously living in Minocqua, there's an abundant amount of water resources. So we dove in. We made a deal with Stengel Marine. We bought our first Mastercraft in 2016. It was a new X10 that we ordered. And it was our boat, my personal boat, I guess, kind of ish. Kept it at my house and then took people out, and we grew every year, and we just finished 2023 was an awesome year. We're up to 2 boats now.
Heck yeah.
And so it's super fun to just see the growth of the business.
Yeah, totally. So the first boat was for business use. That was the intent.
That was
wasn't
the
just
intent.
for personal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But it was my personal boat too. So it stayed in my house. We'd go for boat rides, and our daughter learned how to ski behind that boat. But it was the primary lesson boat as well.
Okay, interesting. Did you get into you said you got to deal with Stengel right away. Did you deal with the board companies right away too?
We met the crew from Jack Pine. Almost right away. It was our first summer. Andrew and Jenny are based in Wisconsin, hand shaping surfboards.
Yeah, so
and
sweet.
we connected. I don't even remember actually how we connected, but we connected almost right away. So by year 2, we had a deal in place with those guys that we had some boards on the boat, and then Stengel Marine helped out tremendously with Conley. So our 2 board companies right now are Conley and Jack Pine. Yeah. And it's awesome. They're both really great companies to work with, very generous, and we look forward to kind of helping them sell some more stuff. So it's been good.
And then also working with Mastercraft too. I know you said that you grew to 2 boats. What was the turning point where you said that you guys have to get 2 boats because the business was just growing so much that you couldn't accommodate?
2022 was really a turning point for us in our business. It grew, and the hours on the boat. The big issue was the first X10 we had for 2016 and 2017, and I think that boat had over 400 hours on it after 2 seasons, and that was a lot of it me just personally using the boat too. 2018 we had an XT23. 2019 we ended up with an X22, and then it was a 1-year turn trying to keep the hours manageable. 2022 that boat had I think it was over 300 hours in 1 season. Yeah. And that was 99% surf lessons. There wasn't a lot of personal use or personal time to use it. And when you look at the diminished value, and when you look at only inboards or any other market, you can find year-old boats with 6 hours, 10 hours, 40 hours, and here we're trying to sell one with 300 hours, and people are like, whoa, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So we looked into, we talked to Mastercraft and Stengel, got the approval for 2 boats, and 2023 was amazing because we had 2 boats that were ordered by customers, their specifications, their colors, their options, everything. We take a deposit. We buy the boat, we use the boat, we sell the boat at the end of the season, and I think both of those boats only had 150 hours or less.
Oh, wow.
So then it's more in line with what a customer would, what an average person would see. Yeah. And obviously with that comes the benefit of profiting from selling 2 boats. So everybody wins. The customers that bought those boats, one is staying in Wisconsin, one's headed to Montana. Both of those guys probably saved somewhere in the neighborhood of about $100,000 off a sticker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's great for them. They're getting basically a brand new boat, mint condition, full warranty, transfer, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And were those guys customers? If you don't
They
mind asking.
were no, neither one of those guys were
Really?
customers.
Okay.
We one was a friend of my business partner Mike's, and one was a friend of actually Bill Stengel's.
Okay.
Who owns
Gotcha.
the dealership. So he bought our 2021 boat. He was in town from Montana, and the boat was at Stengel getting an oil change, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a pretty cool boat," and they're like, "We could maybe sell it to you."
Yeah.
So he bought the 2021, and now he's custom ordered a 2024.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So long story, but they had a couple of partners in that 2021 boat. They're splitting up, and they're each gonna have their own boat. So the 2023. One of the 2023 boats is going to Montana, and one of the 2024 boats will be going to Montana as well. So
Gotcha. Very interesting. That's far away too.
it is.
I feel like. Huh.
It's not right down the street.
Yeah, no, totally. Let's talk about a little bit of like the growth over the years of the business.
Yep.
So you talked about getting the 2 boats and whatnot. What was like the steady rate of like customers? Was it growing every year, like repeat customers coming back?
Repeats were huge.
Okay.
I would say if you look back, 2016, we probably did 15 lessons. It was minimal.
Yeah.
2017, we were probably up to like 30 lessons. And of the 15 we did the year before, probably 10 of them came back again. And it just kept growing like that. Tons of repeat customers. And to me, as a business owner, that is like the ultimate sign of success, that somebody had so much fun with you once that they decided to come back and do it again. It's the one and done. Maybe there's extenuating circumstances on why they didn't come back.
Vacation.
Whatever. They didn't make it back to Minocqua, whatever. But when they come back, it's super cool because, number one, you get to know them when you're on the boat with them.
Yeah.
You get to learn about them. You see them again. What's new? The kids are bigger. Like, it's super cool. And we have customers we work with every year, and you feel like they're part of the family, actually. And as kind of cheesy as that sounds, it's real.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. So
Yeah.
that is very rewarding for us to see the same people year after year.
Yeah, I feel how fun that is. I have a few people that come out like every year because they come in from vacation for California or whatever, and it's so fun to see them and catch up. And it's like, oh, this one just turned 5 this year. We're gonna try surfing.
Exactly.
Because last year they were like, oh, we just want a tube, and now like the kid actually wants to surf, which is sweet.
Yeah, when you get the little ones, and we do a lot of 2-up. We'll put an instructor in the water with the really little kids, and it's been fun to watch the really little kids grow up to the point that they're able to do it themselves. That's super cool.
And I know I own a business that does the same thing, so I kind of like know the gauge of how quick people can learn. Can you explain like how fast you can get someone up in?
We've seen a wide variety of skill levels.
Mm-hmm.
Some people literally get it on their first try.
Isn't that crazy?
We've had people with no water sports experience. We go through our process as we're idling out to our surf area. Drivers driving the boat, filling the boat up, instructors running through everything. Here's where we want your feet to start, all of this stuff. And we've had people throw the rope on the first ride. I mean, it's insane. It hurts your feelings a little bit because it wasn't like that for me, and it wasn't like that for a lot of our other customers. And then you just get people that are ultra gifted and just literally just grab it right away. The one thing that I will say we've struggled with is actually like ocean surfers. We actually have more challenges with them because it is similar but different. And for whatever reason, they don't seem to have a ton of like towed water sports experience. So the actually getting up part has been a struggle. So when somebody gets on the boat and they say, I know how to surf in the ocean, historically that would be a positive. Yeah. Or you'd think that would be a positive, and it actually is like, oh boy. Like for whatever reason. And then they get up and they're just trying to do too much stuff. And I think they see the size of the wave and maybe don't understand how much push these waves actually do have, that they're pumping and slashing and trying to like just settle down. You could literally just stand there and ride. And so it's kind of fun to kind of walk through those people. And we've had, I'll bet you over the years, we've had probably 15 to 20 people who are ocean surfers. Okay. It's been fun to see the progression.
I'd say I probably had like 5 or so, and I see the same thing. They try to pump and stuff a ton. Yeah. And they really like, what I really noticed is they want fins.
Yeah.
Like they can't stand the skimboards. Like the little fins, they're
Yeah,
like
exactly.
slipping all over the place because they're used to like a 4-inch or like
Mm-hmm.
one of them was saying like a 6 or 10-inch fin on a board, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, you can't maneuver that at all.
No, it's
Like you need no fin or like a little fin to have
it's a,
some fun here.
it's
I
a
feel
different
like.
different world. So
Yeah, it's completely different, but it's fun to see like a correlation to
it is.
once they do get used to it and how they like to slash and stuff. Some of them that I've had out don't even like to let go of the rope; they just want to slash.
The best, one of the best surfers I've ever seen was an ocean surfer. So I don't want to lump every ocean surfer into the struggle
Bus.
category.
Yeah.
But this guy was he was amazing. His wipeouts were like just fun to watch. But he'd start drifting back, and instead of typical ways to catch up to the boat, like he got so far back that he would actually flop down, paddle back in,
Really?
and hop up. Yeah, we have a video on our Facebook.
No way. How big of a board was he on?
It's sick.
Like
He had
Tommy Ryan?
he actually hand shaped a wood. He had his own handmade wood board that he
wow.
built in his garage or whatever.
What? And he brought it out?
Yeah, he brought it up. He lived in Wausau. He was a doctor doing some residency stuff, and
Oh, interesting.
he would come up and hang out with us. And so we drove by him. He paddled in and popped up.
No
but
way.
He would start drifting back. He'd literally flop down, paddle back in, hop up.
How crazy is that?
And it was amazing to watch. So
that is so fun.
it was cool.
Yeah, the variability. Like you get the kids, the moms, the grandpas. Everybody can do it, which is so fun.
It's we've had 3 generations on the boat at once. We had grandpa, his kids, and then the grandchildren.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of other sports. Maybe golf. Pickleball now, I suppose, where 3 generations of family members can do it at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess, one of the really, I think it's why the sport took off. You look back to 2007 and people that were buying wakeboard boats at the time were buying it for their kids. Well, now mom and dad, the check writer, can enjoy the boat too.
Right.
Why, and maybe mom and dad grew up skiing. You get a little bit older, takes a little more to recover.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Obviously all of those things, the low speed, low impact of surfing really, it opened it up to, I mean, we've had customers over 70 years old
Yeah.
that are surfing with us. So again, it's just, it opens it up to such a wide audience that you can justify the cost of a boat like that instead of just to drag Billy around the lake on a wakeboard for 15 minutes. So
yeah.
I think that's a huge reason why the sport took off and why it is what it is today. So.
Did you guys ever think of doing wakeboarding and skiing too, or do you ever do that, or just
we
focus
can't?
on surfing?
So one of our struggles as we grew was the liability insurance in this world is pretty tricky and it's extremely expensive. So our initial insurance provider strictly prohibited anything other than surfing.
Really? Okay. Just
so,
because speed-wise, injuries.
It must be a higher risk to them. So
Okay.
they literally said wake surfing only. We couldn't take people tubing. We couldn't take people wakeboarding.
Wow.
All that stuff. And it's frustrating because we do get calls, throughout the summer. Hey, I just want to go water skiing.
Yeah.
I have 2 X24s. They're not a great ski boat.
Yeah.
Like at what point do you can't be all things to all people? But it was the liability insurance was our real main thing that limited us. We have a very good customer who became a friend who actually bought a house on the lake and we're buddies now. He really wanted to wakeboard really bad. So we finished up our paying lesson and then he became our friend and we took him for a wakeboard ride. And that was, I think, one of the only times we've actually taken somebody wakeboarding.
Okay. Gotcha.
Boat,
So like the whole gist is I'll walk through like a routine of like that I do kind of. I get on the boat, pick people up, have them sign the waiver, kind of do an instruction while I'm filling up the ballast on how to do it. And then I just throw them in the water and have them do it. Is that similar for you?
It is. We've talked at length about maybe doing a demo, getting the instructor to hop in the water and show people. A lot of people are visual. I think the people that go first in the group are at a major disadvantage because they don't know what to expect. They don't know what it looks like. Everybody that sits in the boat, I actually think you learn more sitting in the boat watching than you do doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the visual, they see what works, what doesn't, and it's so the first person is at a disadvantage. We talked about getting the instructor in the water. The problem is we're in northern Wisconsin, is not always super warm up here, and so to throw our guy in the water and make him wet and be wet for 2 hours and cold, like it's not it's just, I don't know. We've done it occasionally, but
Yeah.
I would say for the most part, we give them a good enough rundown. The huge thing is foot positioning, keeping the heel to the heel edge and getting that board to flip. If we can get that board to flip, we can probably get you out of the water.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just walking through the steps and the snail crawl to get your foot across and all of those. The really interesting thing about the sport, and I've seen thousands of people learn how to surf, everybody goes through exactly the same like milestones or the checklist, like board flip. Yep. Butt out of the water. Oh, okay, we're getting closer,
Get that weight on the back foot.
It's
Don't
all of
dig the
that
tip in.
stuff. It's just funny how everybody goes through exactly the same thing. And some people, they do steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 in one try. Some people, we got step 1, let's go to step 2. And the big thing for us, our instructors are probably the most patient people I know. And we get comments about that, and I think it says a lot about them because it is a frustrating thing to some people, and for whatever reason, some people just struggle and some people get it. So we try to work with everybody as best you can.
Yeah, I know patience is super important when you're teaching someone to stay calm and work through the steps. And you were once a learner too, I know.
For sure.
So was I. So it's tough to kind of jump to conclusions. So you got to really help them out through the whole process.
Yeah, exactly.
So besides patience, what do you think is like another big attribute that a employee for a service business like this should have?
The observation skills to be able to see what you see and then kind of diagnose the problem and then come up with the solution. The driver, and the communication between the driver and the instructor is important too. Our instructors on the platform directly communicating. Sometimes the driver sees something or picks something up that the instructor didn't catch. So it's, to me, that's the big thing. The patience is kind of a given that's needed. But number 2, the ability that you have enough surf skill to see what's going on and figure out how to fix it and then effectively communicate that with the rider.
Yeah, totally. So. I agree. Some big relationships in the business world, I feel like for me is where I pick people up, and also the dealership that you really have to have good relationships with. Would you agree with that?
Huge. We wouldn't be where we are without the dealership. Their support, both from a sales perspective and their help with Mastercraft and Conley boards and all of those things, that was huge. And they took a chance on us. I mean, you look back and I'm like, hey, it's 2016. I want to start a surf business.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like nobody else is doing this. Why is nobody else doing this? So Stengel Marine, the crew there, that they believed in us was huge. The ongoing service, I mean, we're getting oil changes every other week probably. And so, their promptness and their ability to get us in, get us out is huge. On the rare occasion, we had on our XT23 back in 2018, it was a Saturday afternoon. I was teaching my wife's family how to surf, and we had a lesson Sunday morning at 9:00. We had a coolant elbow on the boat. We lost all of our coolant. Boat overheated. Got towed back to shore. The owner of the dealership was in my bilge fixing the problem, so we didn't continue. We didn't have to cancel the lesson. We could continue operating, and 7:00 Sunday morning, he's in my bilge fixing my boat, and
that's crazy.
I mean, that's world-class service.
Yeah,
set them apart from so many other people. So, and then the pickup location is cool because. As you know, we do a Surf and Suds event. I
was going to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll transition to that, I guess.
Let's do it, yeah.
Beat you to the punch. So Surf and Suds was our way to be able to go out and surf and have people pay to ride along with us. We were out on a random weeknight one night, and it was like, hey, it'd be cool if we had 3 or 4 other people that wanted to surf with us, take a couple bucks in exchange for a pull. And then it spiraled into what if we picked up at a bar? What if we did all of this stuff? And it turned into what it is today. We pick up at the Boathouse restaurant on Lake Minocqua. We go out, everybody gets at least a 20-minute surf session, which if we have a smaller crew, you get more time.
Yeah.
We come back. The Boathouse generously provides us with a coupon for a free beer. So we'll sit on the dock and rehash the night's events. We'll toast the successes, and it works awesome. They've become our new pickup location. We used to pick up all of our lessons at a town dock. Now we're picking up there. The neat thing is they have a rental shop that's operated by another business, but it's in their building. We're going to do more merch sales out of that store. So people will be able to, after the lesson, we'll give them a coupon, buy one get one free, or buy one get one half off, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Send them up to the rental shop, and they can buy a hat or a shirt. And instead of trying to sell stuff out of what we called the swag cooler, the cooler on the boat was like stuffed with hats and T-shirts, and it was people would say, "Hey, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get that?" "Oh, I have some on the boat. Would you like one?" And then it was scrounging, trying to find sizes, trying to do all this stuff, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we'll have 100% of our merch will be available in the store. We're trying to expand that side of our business. That's where we need to grow. We need to do a better job. And I think Sconsin as a name is a company. We're a lesson company, but I think Sconsin as like a lifestyle brand, I think it appeals to more people than just our customers. So with that in mind, we're going to try to expand our horizons on the merch side and get into some more places. But
awesome. Heck yeah. I do the same thing. I just got not the cooler, but I have a big board bag that I just keep all the merch in. And at the end of the lessons, I did like a 20% off coupon or whatever, but just to go to the website, because it's such a hassle to pull them out. And it's awkward too at the end of the lesson to be like, "Hey, like, do you want some merch?"
Yeah,
like,
exit through the gift shop.
It's so much better. Yeah,
it is. It is awkward, and we didn't do a good job of it. We'd almost wait until people said, "Hey, that's a cool hat. Where'd you get that?" So this way, it won't be a high pressure sales pitch. It'll be, "Here's a coupon, head up there if you wanted some merch. If you don't want any merch, throw the coupon in the garbage, and thanks for your business."
Right.
If you do, awesome. We'd love to sell you a hat or a shirt or something like that. So
yeah. Heck yeah.
That's our plan for 2024, is to grow that. A customer of ours who became a friend is now an employee, and he's been designated the VP of merch. So he's grabbed that bull by the horns, and he's doing a great job. So I'm excited to watch him run with that division. So
awesome.
Cool.
So we talked about the sunset, I was just about to say sunset surfing. That's my version of the surf and suds.
Yeah.
But so you do the surf and suds, and then let's get into like private lessons. So do you do is 2 hours the minimum? Correct?
We do a 2 hour minimum.
Yeah.
The time it takes to round up the crew, get the boat ready, to go out for less than 2 hours just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We can't charge enough. From a business, if you had to write a business plan and it involved a surf school, you would get laughed at. I mean, it's a terrible business model. I mean, you physically, especially as the cost of boats have increased, you can't charge enough to make it that you could sustain an employee or two and come out on the plus side. Like, you just can't do it.
Right.
So it's really, you have to want to have the boat or boats yourself. It's a personal benefit is you have a boat that you can use whenever you want. So the 2 hour lesson thing, we've broken it, I think, twice. It's pretty rare that we'll go for less than 2 hours. There are some extenuating circumstances. The one I can think of was super cool. The lady reached out to us. She was from the Fox Valley. They were going on a wake surf trip with their family friends the following weekend, and she had never done it. So she drove up by herself to learn how to surf.
Really?
So that the following weekend, when they were with their friends, she knew what to do. And she wanted to surprise her kids.
She didn't tell them?
No.
Okay,
this was totally top secret. So she made the trip up. We took her out. And I'm like, "All right, you're coming up by yourself. Like, I'm not going to make you go for 2 hours."
Yeah.
So we did a 1 hour lesson with her. And it was super cool, though. She crushed it and reported back after their family trip that everybody was shocked at how good she was. And so it was super cool.
That's hilarious. And can we get into the rates a little bit for 2 hours?
The rates right now, I don't think they're going to change for 2024, but right now we're at $600 for 2 hours.
Okay.
And then they go up from there.
Do you do a discount for like 3 hour, 4 hour little discount?
We did. I don't know the answer to that, actually.
Because I think I did last year. I was at $550 for 2 hours and $775 for 3 hours. So it was a little bit of a discount. But I know some surf schools. I was down with Wake Surf Tampa a couple weeks ago, and they did. I think it was a flat rate of $300 or $325 per hour.
Yeah.
No discount for additional hours upon 2 hours.
We
But as gas goes up too, I'm
well,
sure we've both increased our rates over the
that
past
was
few years.
so the boat costs really
Oh
caused
yeah.
that was a major. Why is my website not available? I think our merch guys in there
Oh, doing some
dialing some
changes.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't believe we did a major discount
Okay.
for hourly stuff.
Yeah.
If we did, it was, I want to say 3 hours was maybe $879 instead of
Okay.
900, something pretty minor discounts.
Yeah.
The surf and suds is kind of the confusing part. So going back to surf and suds, the idea with surf and suds was how do we get more people on the boat? We knew some locals that just didn't have a boat but knew how to surf.
Yeah.
It was never intended to be a lesson because it was meant kind of for us. Normally during a 2 hour lesson, the instructors don't surf. We teach you, and that's about it. So the surf and suds was a way for us to get in the water, be able to ride, and then if people were with us, they could tag along. We'll certainly offer assistance and help, but to bring a new person that's never done it before to surf and suds, I think we're charging $40 or $45 per time. It's not like I can't afford to pay an instructor, and
And you only get 20 minutes.
and you only get 20 minutes, which
So-
is for some people not enough time to
Yeah.
really get them going. So it was never intended to be a lesson. We try to communicate that. If you've done it before, we'll certainly offer pointers and stuff like that. But it was never intended to be a lesson. It was just a way for us to get out on the lake and
Yeah. I know
Get more
for
people.
me at least, the summer that Sunset Surf was like the only time I got to surf.
yeah,
Because I was so busy. It's like
exactly.
I get 20 minutes every single Tuesday,
Yep.
which is perfect because a lot of it was my friends coming out too that were busy too, so they just would book a sunset
Exactly.
surfing, which
Yep.
was awesome. So it was a
Yep.
great vibes, great crew, and I think I had like one person come out for the first time, which unknowingly,
Yeah.
and they did great though too, which was fun.
Yeah.
So it all worked out. But I want to get into a little bit of like the marketing. So do you do? I know a lot of it's word of mouth for the most part, but what are your marketing like?
Social media really
media?
helps us. The Instagram and Facebook pages. We did not do a good job this year. We were busy.
Yeah.
And it got fairly neglected when you look back at the number of posts in 2023 versus years prior. So that helps. We are a member of the local Chamber of Commerce, so we have some brochures and stuff there. Google searches, we follow along on the Google Analytics stuff. We're getting a lot of really good traffic on just from Google, people starting to search surfing,
Okay.
and finding us. So
Yeah.
that's been growing really nicely over the years. But as far as actual advertising, we're not like putting ads in the newspaper or anything like that. It's mostly just word of mouth,
Yeah.
repeat customers. We put some flyers up at the boathouse. Historically, that helps draw some traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Google and social media.
Gotcha. And you also go out on other people's boats, correct?
We do. I would say this year probably 20% were on other people's boats.
Okay.
We've had some really interesting experiences there. We're a mastercraft company, so we're pretty familiar with the technology and how it operates. Over the years, we have a gentleman in the area that has a new G23 Nautique, and so the last 2 summers we've been to his house I think over 20 times. We'll do 2-hour sessions with him and his family.
Oh heck yeah.
And it's fun because it's change of scenery for us. He's on a lake that's plenty big to surf, but it's usually pretty quiet, so we're not fighting Minocqua chain traffic. And watching them progress, getting to know them, it's just been a really great experience. But it took a little bit for us. We had to do a little research on how to dial a new
Yeah.
G in because it's different than every other boat. Regardless of brand, they're all different. So
Mhm.
we did a little research. I think we got him set up probably right where he needs to be. And so we do help people. One of the first ones we did, I think the first offsite lesson we did was on a Moomba, and so they couldn't throw the rope. Everybody could get up, nobody could throw the rope. We went out to their house, which was over in Eagle River, and we said, just show us what you're doing. So they did. Dad was driving, son was surfing, popped up. When we're riding, I'm like, we are hauling ass. Like we were going super fast. So I pull out my phone, GPS speedometer. We were going over 13 miles an hour.
Ooh.
Their GPS, their boat was wrong.
Just calibrated wrong.
So we said slow down to like 9 miles an hour, and they threw the rope in the boat, and it was like instant. They had no idea what they were doing wrong.
Yeah.
And you could just tell like we were going way too fast. So something like that. It was cool to get them set up. There's been some ballast. There's been some ballast help that we've provided. There's been some settings. When we do other people's boats, we typically would send a driver and an instructor like we would normally. And I think part of that goes to the issues we're facing in the sport with the potential regulation coming down the road. We're trying to teach people how to be as good a neighbor as possible, as good a driver as possible, be respectful. It's all of those things that, again, we hop on the boat and say, show us what you're doing. And when they show us what they're doing, a lot of times we can make it better, either where we're surfing, deeper water, further from shore, all of those things. And then the techniques. It is a special set of challenges to drive for surfing. So some people just surfer falls, they stay on plane and they do a huge loop and go back. I'd say stop the boat, let the waves go, turn around, go get your rider. So those are just some of the things, give them the little tidbits. Usually drive for the first half, let them drive the second half and sit next to them and give them some pointers. So it's as much a driving lesson as it is a surfing lesson on their boats typically.
Right, yeah, because the driving's a big aspect too.
For sure.
Into pulling people up.
It's huge.
I went out on somebody's boat and they had a 6-inch fin on this board. I've never seen it. It was like a swell surfboard or something. And they had the fin backwards. Oh, geez. So it was like hooking forward.
Oh, that's not
And
good.
I was like, we got to switch that around. And he's like, oh, good thing we hired you. Like, we would have never known.
How simple was that?
Yeah,
it was worth every nickel.
Yeah, worth every nickel. But I have this experience too with going out on lakes and stuff. And you really have to learn the lake and be comfortable on it because there's a lot of lakes. I know my sister's hit the prop on like a little rock or something that doesn't show up on GPS or anything. Do you have any experience with that too?
We do actually. We have one negative experience on a customer's boat. It was really unfortunate. He had an X23. We went out to the house and they picked an area. I wasn't on the boat at the time. They picked an area to surf. They decided the wind direction lent itself to needing to move. Boat was full of ballast. He told the driver, the owner of the boat who lives on the lake said, I want you to go over there.
Yeah. We
started idling. He said, I want you to go over there faster. The driver took off and put it right over a rock bar. So we did some damage to the boat and we were able to get that resolved, but it was unfortunate. It's the one and only major issue. Our G23 customer, I dinged his prop on his lift back in the boat off the lift.
I think you told me that one time.
The bow stop on the lift didn't necessarily function, but it was not. It wasn't thousands of dollars in damage. It was a minor inconvenience, but so yeah, that's those are some of the hurdles to other lakes. We've once in the history of the company we've taken our boat to another lake. They had a group of, I think it was 20 people. It was going to be far too many people to bring to us. So we did actually transport the boat to their lake.
Gotcha.
Extensive research, water depths, looking at maps, making sure we're good. And then obviously their local knowledge was helpful and it was a pretty easy lake, but the headache, the time, that was a full over 8-hour day for us to do a 6-hour lesson. By the time he took the boat out, moved it, put it back, all that good stuff. It was kind of determined that probably wasn't worth moving the boat. We'll stick with our lake. We'll do what we can to accommodate people's schedules and have them come to us.
No, totally. That's all I got for Surf Sconsin. You got anything else?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No.
All right, let's take a little break then.
Sounds good. Do what?
I think you did do like a discount like I did, where it was like 20.
Yeah, it was private lessons here. We were. Yeah, so $5.99 for 2 hours, $8.79 for 3, 4 hours, $1,099, and then in 8 hours, $2,000.
All right.
Which I think we only did one 8-hour in the history of the company. It was a long day.
Yeah, I think I've done one of those too.
We did have some other long ones.
I'm actually transitioning into doing that a little bit this year. One of my customers is like the co-owner of Huck Fishing.
Oh.
And he gave me like a bunch of advice and said that we should start doing like half and full day lessons. And have it be like more of an experience where we can like drop them off at the bar for lunch, dinner, like stuff like that. He said that would be like
more of a charter than a lesson. There's all these boat setter and some of these other companies where you can rent a boat.
I
with a
recently
captain.
saw that.
Tempted to kind of look into that a little bit. They take a percentage, but if it gets you more business, and I don't know, might be worth.
Posting on there.
Yeah, I mean, and even if it wasn't a wake surf lesson, like I can take people for a boat ride. If you want to go for a sunset cruise, like let's do a 2-hour sunset cruise on something other than a pontoon boat.
Yeah, that's what he was thinking, because he was saying like it's just like a luxury business that you're doing with like the Mastercraft and stuff. Like, make it that. Don't be like just a 2-hour surf charter. Be like, you don't even have to surf. Just come out and experience luxury, and we can like cruise you around the lake.
You can do a shoreline cruise,
Right, yeah. That's what
he
was saying. So I'm gonna try to do that next year. So I did like a half day and then a full day lesson. I'm gonna try doing that next year.
Yeah.
So
the one thing we should have talked about that was the kids camp.
Like, oh yeah.
We had the idea like early on, thinking if we did a 2 or 3 day kids camp, 10 to 2 or 3 days in a row, and you provide a box lunch or something for the kids from one of the restaurants, and kind of a half daycare, half get the kids pumped up on water sports. I thought that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
You're good. We're taking a break anyways.
Well, you guys got any leads on a black Mastercraft with peanut butter interior?
I can.
Yeah, here.
I'll order a black Mastercraft with peanut butter interior, and it will be available October 1st, 2024.
What's up, you guy?
Or our XT24, black outside, peanut butter inside. We're selling.
He's got one.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to come here real quick?
There we go. Sold the boat.
Hopefully, that'd be sick. Alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I couldn't get anything on that kids camp either.
No. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
So you're looking for a Mastercraft?
Yeah, like an X22 or probably an X22.
We have an XT24. Okay. We have gunmetal flake on the outside and black around it, and then two-tone tan interior.
So that's kind of funny. The one I just lost out on, I'll show you pictures of it.
Okay.
It was in New Hampshire. It was a super good deal.
What model? What model was it?
X22.
Oh, X22. Okay. We both had one of those at one time.
We did.
I told him I was gonna send him a wire today, and I guess someone came Sunday with a check.
Damn it!
Oh,
that sucks.
Yeah, and what is that, like a $300,000 boat? He was selling it for $180,000.
New.
It only had 50 hours.
Okay. What year was it?
20.
Was it a 23?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's pretty
this
good.
guy gets a new boat every year.
Looking like us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Mine are recording. Can you pull it up on your phone or Instagram to show them our boat?
Yeah.
You guys do like what are you doing here?
I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're
we're
casual conversation
casual
turned into a
conversation.
podcast.
That's pretty awesome.
So he owns Surf Lake Country down in Milwaukee area, and I own Surf Sconsin up here.
Oh, okay.
So we get 2 new boats every year.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So
I think I got one of the boat lifts that you had.
yeah, you got my lift.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we have one boat ordered. So there's.
Yeah, there we go. That's ours that we're selling.
Real sweet.
So it's the metal flake outside and then two-tone tan.
The green
interior.
is just decals, right?
Yeah. That's the sticker.
So which
That comes off.
I'm not real familiar. Which motor does that one have? Is it
6.0.
He's got the 6-liter in
Yeah.
his.
Okay.
All of ours are X24s, and we'll have the 6.2,
Right.
which is
Yeah,
that's how
here's-
we do that.
I made like a whole video of it, but on the Instagram. But it's pretty much got all the options that you look for. Yeah, there's the engine.
So you guys sell them every year? Or?
Yeah. We kept this one for 2 years actually, but we're getting one new for next year. So yeah, that's it.
Does that one have the tower that folds down? Or?
Yeah, the hydraulic lock. It's like the new one. That was like a
Hydraulic,
crazy
that
expensive
V8
upgrade.
Tower is awesome though. Holy shit.
Pretty good speaker system.
22.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the clip
We have the
stuff
upgraded
is-
too, yeah.
The clip the the new tower though, 2022 and newer. so easy to use. There's a button on the back. You push the button and you just pull it down. Basically, you can lower it with like one hand.
Oh, really?
And wherever you let go of that button, it stops.
Oh,
Like it
nice.
locks at that point. So you can lock it at halfway down or wherever you wanted it.
Very
It doesn't have to go all the way down like the 21.
Right.
And it looks so much better because you
It's a
can
nice looking tower.
like dial it in with the boat. Like I think we have black, gray, and white to like match it. Yeah, so you can get like the colors on the tower.
Oh, very nice.
And you can
Yeah.
change those. It's like Chromax. Like,
Oh, and the inlay on
and
the
the
windshield,
windshield,
too, which
yeah.
is sick. Yeah, we have the white to match the tower, and that's a black cutoff windshield.
And you're selling this one then?
He is.
I am, yeah.
What are
Mhm.
you looking to get for it?
I think we're in the range like right around like 150 right now.
How many hours?
I think it has 250. We've used it for the last 2 years.
Okay.
But it's got every option, and I don't think I think I have the price at like 160 right now. I haven't dropped it down the internet, but we're looking to sell it before next year for sure,
Okay.
or this winter. We want to get rid of it.
Where is it stored at?
Skipper Buds, Pewaukee.
Oh, okay.
So down by Milwaukee.
Okay.
What lake do you boat on?
Here.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Well, can I get your phone number?
Yeah. Take it down and shoot me a text, and I'll get back to you once we're done filming.
Sorry about that.
No worries at all.
Sweet, I'll shoot you a text.
And I've been the only person to use it, so I know literally everything about the boat. I've been the only person driving it and whatnot.
And,
So
how many pounds of ballast does that one have?
like 3,600.
Oh, so it's the standard.
It's a, yeah.
So it's
the new, so that hull, that should be the X24 running surface, I think.
Yeah, it's a 6.
The,
They
the,
updated
the bottom of the boat's the same as an X24. X24 is going to have, I think, 400 or 500 pounds more ballast than the XT24, but it's still.
Until 2023, I feel like the XT24 is actually better because then you got like the upgraded interior.
Yeah.
In our boat, like we have that flip back seat in the middle. On the X series, they had that handle which you'd always stub your toe on and
Yeah.
stuff, and now they just converted it to like a C-deck step, which is on ours, which is nice. I know that.
We don't.
And then the step in the seat too is game changer.
huge.
That they changed to step on C-deck in the
Alright.
going into the boat. But yeah, shoot me a text and I'll
shoot
give you a call,
text.
or
Let's stay in touch about it.
and I can send you some pictures and stuff.
Awesome.
So sounds
I
good.
appreciate
Awesome.
it.
What's your name?
Logan.
Logan.
Nice to meet you,
man.
Chad.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love to help you out.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
no
be in
worries.
touch.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, man. That was interesting. Keep it in. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, let's get going on Lakeside.
Yeah.
Here we go. I really don't know much about this business at all,
Sure.
so I'm super interested to learn about it. But how did you like learn about it here? Because you acquired it, correct, or bought
I
it?
did, yeah. So I actually worked here. So rewinding back to my first job, I was in the golf business. When I went to college, I wanted to be a doctor, and through my lack of desire to be at school, it didn't turn out super good. So I decided after year one that pre-med was not my chosen path. I was told by one of my golf course bosses to consider a career in turf as a golf course superintendent. And I liked the variety of the job. It was something new every day. You were part doctor and figuring out the turf diseases, part pharmacist. That was something I was interested in, on how to treat the diseases. It was managing people. It was an independent position in that you were kind of your own boss. So I started looking down that path. I moved from UW Oshkosh to Rutgers University and got out of school and ended up in the golf business. A year and a half later, I decided that it was time for a change. So I left the golf business. My dad was a builder. He was working on a house up here, and I came up for a ride with him to meet some of his contractors up here. We grabbed a newspaper. I found a job at a landscaping company, and then ended up getting a job moving up here from the Milwaukee area. So it was kind of a big move to move across the state. A month into the landscaping career, I saw a sales job at Lakeside Docks, selling docks and boat lifts. So I thought that sounded kind of fun. I grew up on a lake. I was familiar with docks and boat lifts a little bit. So I got together with the owner. I got hired, and I worked here from 2002 to 2010 as a sales guy. In 2010, I found an opportunity to go work for one of the manufacturers that we sell for. as a sales rep. And it was, I wasn't looking for a job. I kind of fell into it. The guy who was one of their reps had been promoted, and I stumbled on that job and ended up interviewing for it, taking it. And for 12 years, I was a sales rep for Flow, who's our primary brand here at Lakeside Docks. Fast forward to 2021, I was in the process of attempting to buy a dealership. And throughout that 6 to 8 month process, it kind of realized that it was sliding downhill. The sellers' demands were, the number they wanted was out of line with what the business was capable of. And it had some other components to it, some other industries they were in that I had no interest in. So we kind of realized that deal was done. And about a week later, the previous owner here's son, Andrew, called me and said, "Hey, my parents want to sell. Would you be interested?" And we put a deal together ridiculously fast. Their terms were fair. Like, everything was right. You threw a 1,000-piece puzzle up in the air and it fell on the ground, like, in position.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. So it was, it's 2 miles from home. When I left here in 2012, I never left Minocqua. This was home. I could live anywhere. So it's literally 2 miles from my house. I knew where the copier paper was. They're the number one flow dealer in the country. Like, all of these things, all of these positives were far too good to ignore. So
yeah, and you already worked here too.
And I had experience. I knew the lakes. I knew the customers. It's fun.
And you knew the product too, because you work for Flow, so you
sure.
kind of knew the whole inside.
A 20-year history with the product line, and essentially a 20-year history with the company in general, because shortly after I left, I actually became their rep. So,
Okay.
So it's an intimate knowledge of the business. Obviously, September 1st of 2022, we took over.
Gotcha.
So
it's interesting how that works. I've talked to a few other people, and it's been the same thing. Like, I always thought that there was like a website you could go to that you can look for like businesses for sale or something.
And you can.
Yeah.
Those exist. Usually the ones that end up working out, in my experience, were businesses that you knew the guy, you knew the owner, you had a connection.
Exactly.
You knew their story, they knew you, and that was the big thing when we put this deal together. We weren't some strangers off the street. It was basically their family, their son, a family member, and me, a 20-year person that they knew. So just made the whole deal as easy as it could be.
And you weren't out to get each other or whatnot.
No,
I know some
no.
probably ones that are selling online, like they're destined for failure and they just want to get it off their hands.
Exactly.
But this is like, you knew the person, you heard about it from them, and it's worked out great.
You couldn't have asked for a better deal. It's just everything. They took care of us. I think they were very fair in what they wanted out of the business, and here we are. So
did you keep most of the employees here that were
we
working
kept
already?
all of them, yeah.
All of them, okay.
Yep. And that was another huge thing, was there was no turnover, there was no training, there was no there was really no mass exodus when we took over. It was nothing changed really.
Okay, so give me a scope of like all the employees. I'm sure you have sales, front desk. Give a whole general.
Yeah. So the previous owner, he was the kind of the primary sales role and some of the administration stuff with invoicing, inventory control, stuff like that. I slid into his role. His wife was the office manager. She did accounts receivable, accounts payable, a bunch of other general office tasks, and kept the business running like it should, from a paperwork perspective and an organization perspective. My wife was a stay-at-home mom at the time when we took over. So she slid into that role, kind of calling back on some of her previous work history, and extremely organized person. So it was great that the two primary roles that left were filled by me and my wife. So that was super easy. Her role handles money. So it's comforting to know that it's not just some stranger handling the money. It's my wife. So it's going to be done and done right, and it's just one less thing to worry about. We have sales staff, and then the service and install guys are all really young, and they do a great job for us. So.
Is there turnover on those guys a lot, or not too much?
It's been, since we've had it, it's been great. Over the years, you look at the 20-year history. We had a guy that retired after he had been here. I think the business was started in the late 90s, 98, I want to say. He made it over 20 years as kind of the back shop, head of back shop operations.
Huge, yeah.
And then, it seems to be every 4 or 5 years you'd maybe lose a guy and pick a new one up, but it's I would say for the most part fairly stable.
Okay.
And we're blessed to have the people we have, because it is a tough thing to it's a tough job to fill. It's not always the most fun. It's cold water, it's cold weather, it's heavy lifting, it's a lot of different stuff. So,
and the person needs to know what they're doing too, to put
For
the
sure.
docks in the right spot or whatnot. So you're selling the docks, selling the lifts, and then the person has to install it right too.
that is correct.
So it's the full.
Yeah, it's a full
9
package,
yards.
start to finish. You come in, we help you design the system for your needs. We'll help you through our various product offerings, find the right product. We'll design the system to match how you want to use it, and then we'll take care of putting it in. One of the big changes this year was we got back into the seasonal in and out business. The previous owner had kind of drifted away from that 3 or 4 years ago. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of equipment. Nowadays, you have to have a forklift boat or a crane boat to move these lifts. That was a $180,000 boat that we had to buy to put lifts in and out. And then you need the people to run it, and then you need the time to do it. So it was all of these things. We drifted away from it. We got back into it. But it's kind of keeping that full service aspect where if you buy something from us, we're going to take care of you and not shuffle you off onto some other contractor. So.
Right. No, totally. And I know a lot of the ones by our house aren't very good at that. That pull the docks out or whatnot. They're throwing stuff around, breaking stuff, and they just don't care, because some of them I know don't even sell the stuff. They're just to take it in and take it out.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of that. And part of the problem is the rates. What we charge for what we do. It's a commodity service to some people. They can find it cheaper. They can get it done cheaper. That generally comes with a cost.
Mm-hmm.
That contractor maybe doesn't have liability insurance. Maybe they don't have any sort of insurance. Just a guy with a pickup truck who has 2 strong buddies and they come take your dock out. If they break something, and I mean, a boat lift could easily be $30,000.
Oh, yeah.
If they break a boat lift, who's going to fix it?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to fix it. They probably don't even care. And what they charged you is barely enough to survive, so that the contractor that you pay a couple bucks more, probably a little more conscientious, probably going to take a little bit better care of the stuff.
Right.
If I had a Lamborghini, I'd want the Lamborghini dealer working on my car. I don't want some random guy off the street.
Right.
And with the cost of docks and lifts and boats, and I mean, it's a major investment.
Oh, yeah.
So you get what you pay for.
Yeah, no, totally. I want to know kind of like what factors customers consider when they come in to purchase a dock. Are people that come in, have they done their research already, or do you really have to walk them through the process and show them their options and really help them to learn more about it?
I would say 25% have done some sort of research or been to some other dealership that we know of, that they say, hey, we went here or here, and then we ended up coming to your store. So we do start with, a big part of our business is word of mouth. So neighbors talk to neighbors. That is huge for us because we've already gotten kind of the introduction out of the way. They've already been told, hey, we have this product from this company. It's been a great experience. So that is a huge kind of head start. I think that puts us ahead. There is definitely some education involved in somebody new walking in the door. We have to ask a ton of questions. What do you have now? What's your shoreline like? What are you looking to do with the product? How do you want to handle it yourself? Is it something you're going to pay somebody to put in? So there's all of those things that go into it, and then we can kind of create that funnel that says, based on what you told me, this is the product for you, and here's why. And we're unique in that we don't sell a lot of brands. We sell a few different brands. We don't have a lot of product overlap. If you want a roll-in dock, it's going to be a Flow. We think it's the best. Here's why. So it's not a confusing thing for the customer. It's, you want a roll-in dock, you need this one, and here's why. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. So it makes our life on the sales side a little bit easier in that we're not trying to explain the difference between roll-in A and roll-in B. And then maybe they have pros and cons to both. We just have all pros on the perfect dock. So
what's the timeline look like for a sale? So people come in, order it. Do you have stuff on site, and then do you deliver it? How soon? Like, what's the timeline of a sale?
That ranges from 8 months, an 8-month wait. We were selling docks in July for next year. So that guy that bought the dock in July obviously isn't going to get it until springtime. And we've had a few instances where it was like literally next day.
Wow.
So it depends on the time of year. We do stock, millions of dollars worth of product for that reason, that we can be responsive. It's one of the things that does set us apart from some of our other competitors. We can be usually responsive mid-season. If you came in Memorial Day, we could probably get you in 2 to 3 weeks. If you came in July, that customer will be the first phone call. When the ice gets ready to start going out, we start calling dock number 1. When do you want it? Dock number 2. So buying ahead is an advantage to the customer in that they get their pick of days. But yeah, in season, we're the largest flow dealer in the country, so that comes with having a bunch of inventory, and that helps our customer in that we can be responsive. So
Right. So what kind of sales do you guys do? I know you guys are at the boat show. What are there other big trade shows or?
We don't. The Milwaukee Boat Show, we were just talking about that. I wish there were more opportunities. Historically, there used to be a lake home and cabin show series that was put on by a promoter. They had Madison. They did one in Milwaukee for a couple of years. They had Chicago, which was at the Schaumburg Convention Center. And then they did Madison at the Alliant Energy Center. And that was a lake home and cabin show for either people that owned lake homes or wanted one. So from a target market perspective, it was a bullseye for us.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it was a smaller show. Milwaukee Boat Show is pretty decent size. This was, less than a quarter of that. It was log home builders, realtors, dock companies, a couple boat dealers, stuff like that. And throughout the years, they just attendance was dwindling to the point that they ended up shutting them down. So the Madison show is dead. Chicago is dead. The Minneapolis one is still going, but it's unfortunately customers in that market are not coming to Minocqua. They're either coming to northwestern Wisconsin, Hayward, and points like that, or they're going other places in Minnesota. So for us to participate in that show probably doesn't make a ton of sense just from a geographical thing, but great show. The Milwaukee Boat Show, we had a really good response last year. We sent out a direct mail piece to the local tax bill mailing addresses for our customers. So we send that to them saying, hey, come see us at the Milwaukee Boat Show. And we had a great response from that. So
nice.
We'll be doing that again here in the next week or two.
Yeah, nice. Okay. And how's it work with, do you do like a deal with Stengel too, where they kind of like a boat dealership would refer customers to?
Yeah, so we have a deal, a gentleman's agreement with Stengel Marine, with Plowman's Marine. They send us customers. We're working on a few other ones right now. So they're not in the dock business.
Right.
We're not in the boat business. It works out really well. And that customer lead, Plowman's will say, hey, this guy, they'll call and say, customer ABC just bought a Bennington, whatever. They'll give us a heads up that they told the customer about us, and then they'll give us some info on the boat. And then we can kind of have a little bit of legwork done ahead of time in terms of what we need to sell that customer. And because they trusted that salesperson to buy the boat, they trust that salesperson's recommendation on where to buy a lift, and so our success rate there is extremely high with those referrals, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Yeah, that's a good agreement. I feel like because they go hand in hand.
They do.
Both businesses. Yeah,
they do. And then we coordinate with the boat dealer. We need the boat there to do the lift setup, so we'll coordinate the timing of the boat arrival with the dealer, make it as seamless as we can for the customer, and it's just easy.
Awesome. Does a big success story or challenge story about like a dock install or sale come to mind? Besides that one day flip around, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like the customer was here, and it was like, if you could have it in for me tomorrow, I'll buy it. Or if I could have it in for you tomorrow, would you buy it? And he said yes. And so we put that deal together, and they had it in the water, I think, by 9:00 the next morning. Which
that's
was awesome.
Insane.
The challenge story we have right now is we are expanding. We're up to 3 locations now. So from a business perspective, that the challenge for us has been figuring out these other markets. A year ago, January 1st, we took over a dealership in Crivets, which is about 2.5 hours east of here. And then this last September, we took over a dealership that was on Lake Dubay, just south of Wausau. And Minocqua and Lakeside Docks had been kind of operating as its own little thing in its own world and its own set of challenges and its own set of positives. And then all of a sudden, opportunities presented themselves to expand, and it's learning the market, it's learning the competitors in that market, it's learning how to set yourself apart from that competitor in that market. One of the things that the previous owners did here is they built a beautiful showroom. It's world class.
Yeah, it is awesome.
And when I worked here, I thought this is what a dock store looked like because it was my intro to the dock world. So
Yeah.
I worked here for 8 years. I left. I went to Flow and I started selling to dealers. So I got to see almost every dealer in the upper Midwest, and nothing even really compared. I think that's one of the things that sets us apart in this market is people pull in, and this side yard here will be filled with boat lifts. Starting this week, we're starting to build boat lifts.
Wow.
So this whole field over here will be stuffed with boat lifts. Our backyard will be mounted with docks. People pull in, they see we have the inventory. It's pretty impressive visually. So that sets us apart. The showroom, people walk in the door, that sets us apart. These other locations, we don't have that yet. So we're trying to figure out how do we get to that point to make it like Minocqua, not in Minocqua. So,
Yeah.
So that's been the challenge. The success story probably goes with that. Crivets, we have a sales guy over there who's awesome. They've had their best year ever already, and we still have a little bit of time to go. So that's been fun to see that challenge. The dealership we took over, and tried to introduce the Lakeside way, and they've had their best year in the history of their company. So
Oh, wow.
that's been fun to watch. So yeah, I would say the challenge and the
They go hand in
success
hand.
are actually at the
Same
same
thing.
time. So
Are you looking to expand more? Grow more?
we are. There's some opportunities, and the crazy thing is going back to businesses for sale is the lack of succession planning on many business owners' hands. They don't do it. The dealership that I was attempting to buy was an older couple. Their children wanted really nothing to do with the business. They had no out. They had no exit plan, and I thought we offered that to them, and we weren't able to put a deal together. But that's the big thing is there are a lot of business owners that are aging. They don't have a way to get out. And I think the buyer, if you're in a position, can take advantage of some of that a little bit in that you can give them something they don't have in exchange for something you don't have. So there's a way to work out some of the finer details with a little more flexibility.
Yeah.
If somebody was interested in buying a business, that would be if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So were both those acquisitions also just a word of mouth thing too?
They were
Okay.
both. The Crivets one they were a customer of mine when I was a sales rep, so I knew their situation.
Yeah.
It was two younger guys, brother-in-laws. One wanted to be done, one wanted to stick around. So we were able to hire the brother-in-law that wanted to stick around and
Oh,
has done an
nice.
awesome job for us. The other one, they actually approached us and said, we were trying to figure out a way to work out a deal together. At the local Flow dealer in that area, we had already taken over their business from a referral standpoint. They were a boat dealer that sold docks and lifts. We bought all their remaining inventory, and then they were sending people to us in exchange for a referral fee. So they were able to get something. We were able to take care of their customers. They were able to get something, and they didn't have to mess with docks and lifts, which have its own set of challenges in terms of infrastructure, people, all of those things. They weren't set up for it. So we were able to do that. The company that approached us was really our only competitor in that market. And they said, hey, we want to work with you. We were going through all of these avenues. How do we work out this? Are you buying product from us? Is it going to be our name? And it just got to the point that it was just easier for us to just take it over and make it one of our locations. We hired their son who was working at that business. So he's kind of our main guy down there right now. So, but yeah, word of mouth, we weren't shopping. And
Yeah.
I know all of the dealers in the state, some of them quite well. We've had some discussions, so there's definitely some opportunity to spread our wings even further. The hard part is we grew fairly fast in 15 months or whatever. We went from one location to 3. We have some internal systems here that we need to figure out to help with this growth, one of the things that we're working on is actually developing our own computer program to help with inventory management, multiple location inventory management,
Okay.
a CRM program. Our internal paperwork flow is going to be simplified through this program. Once we get that up and running, and I'll say dialed in, it would be easy to implement that
Right.
in another spot. So at that point, we could reduce our needs in these locations to basically a salesperson and 2 installers. And then we just have some sales offices.
Okay.
All of the paperwork and stuff would still flow through here.
Gotcha.
But it's, yeah, it's exciting. There's a lot of opportunity. My goal would be, if somebody buys a flow dock in Wisconsin, it comes from Lakeside.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah. If you're covering the whole lake area, it'd be so sweet.
Yep.
Could you walk us through kind of what an acquisition is like? Who gets involved? What attorneys are involved, and whatnot?
The attorney stuff to this point has been fairly minimal, other than drafting some basic contract stuff, lease agreements, whatever. Because the properties in both of those acquisitions have been leased after the deal is kind of made on the business itself, or the business and the equipment and the inventory. Usually we'll buy the remaining inventory from the business owner. Any equipment that's pertinent to our operation, we would buy that. So the Dubai operation, we purchased a forklift boat and a forklift from them. But they didn't own the property that they were leasing, so we took over the lease on that one. The idea would be, let's start, we'll run it for 2 or 3 years. If this is as viable as we believe it should be and could be, that we would look at, building our own property, creating this again, the kind of the Lakeside way. So it's a way to dip your toes without building $1 million showroom or $2 million showroom to find out through your hard work that the market isn't what you thought it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been fairly simple. We have a willing participant on both sides. It makes things easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of negotiation. It's here's what I think, and you just kind of put it together. Sometimes there's some structure, some seller financing maybe, or some sort of special deal. And I would say if somebody's looking at buying a business, don't be afraid to ask the seller for some concessions, either, some seller financing if you don't have all the money, or some assistance or something like that. Somebody that has a willing buyer would be more than happy, I would say, in our experience, to do what they need to do to make it work.
Yeah.
So that's
Have you done one of those seller financing?
A little bit on the some of it on the the inventory and stuff like that. Most of that has been purchased.
Okay.
But yeah, occasionally just straight up.
Yeah.
Just write a check and get it over with. It's
Gotcha.
the easier way, and then you can kind of do with it what you want. But the thing is, so many of these sellers, and to have the business I was looking at purchasing was over $3 million. Not everybody. To have $3 million, if you have $3 million, you probably don't need a job. Yeah. So to go buy yourself a job at a company with your $3 million doesn't make a ton of sense. So the younger people that are interested in owning a business maybe don't have those resources to either go get a loan for $3 million or have $3 million in cash or whatever. So the sellers, if they're smart about it, would say, "Hey, I have somebody that's it has to be the right fit."
Yeah.
But if they are the right fit, they'd be silly not to. And I think there's some tax planning implications that it's way better for the seller to be paid out over time than it is to be lump sum.
Yeah.
And they just get hammered with taxes. So if you can structure that. And then there's the leasing stuff, the seller, if the seller maintains the real estate, and it doesn't have a ton of debt behind it, that's more income for them that they're probably already owning the property personally,
right?
And leasing it. Their business is leasing it to them, or their business is leasing it from them. So that's even more income that if they could find a buyer to keep the business where it is, that they would have that rental income for the foreseeable future too. So
Gotcha.
It's every deal is different. It's hard to kind of.
Yeah, I never even thought about that seller finance stuff. I haven't heard about that, so that's very interesting to learn about.
Yep.
And is there anything that has to be done with taking over a business? Like, do you absorb their LLC, or do you just expand out into the branch?
So there's been a few different ways. The Crivets deal, we just killed it. It just became our location. So we basically
Gotcha.
put that business to sleep. The previous generation of business. It's kind of the same thing in Dubai, actually. Like the Wausau, it just went away and became a Lakeside store.
Okay.
The main purchase here was we purchased the corporation as a whole. It was a stock purchase. So nothing changed. The business name didn't change. The legal entity name didn't change. It just new ownership structure.
Gotcha.
So that needed some lawyer. This one was the big one. Picking up these satellite stuff, there was less, because you weren't keeping anything. We were buying some equipment, buying some inventory, and just basically killing the entity. The hardest part, in all honesty, has been getting their Facebook pages and their Google profiles to be our Google page.
Gotcha.
Google, all that stuff. That's been a nightmare, and Facebook is not easy to work with. We're paying a social media guy.
Are you?
To work with our company every month. He responds to Google reviews, which are very helpful. But he handles our social media stuff and posts and whatnot. And so he's been working behind the scenes on trying to take ownership of these other companies' Facebook pages, because I don't want to lose their 1,000 likes. I want that, because I don't want to have to start over. But it's harder than it seems. It's harder than I would have dreamt.
Right.
We have to get that switched over. It's like,
no, totally. Yeah, it's a ton of work. Yeah,
it is.
I mean, I've created a couple with my businesses, and I couldn't imagine like changing it over, because they give you a hassle sometimes on
it's
like
a major
changing
hassle.
an
There's
address.
no way to talk to anybody, so it's all by email, and you're trying to explain what you're doing, and you're trying to prove that it is your business. And the guy who set up that Facebook page doesn't work there anymore, so nobody knows like the admin password.
Right.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's honestly been the biggest hurdle to this
Really?
whole
That's
thing.
crazy, right?
Is the social media switchover.
Huh.
And then one of the companies did boat rentals, and they had some bad reviews. We don't do boat rentals. So now I'm trying to get rid of boat rental reviews that were dragging down their
Overall
reviews.
rating.
Yeah. And it's like, so it's just been a nightmare.
So does this guy own is it like a social media marketing agency?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I got one last question. What advice would you have for like a young or new entrepreneur, such as like myself, where I'm like 22 years old, just got into business and looking to expand eventually?
Dream big.
Yeah.
I don't honestly, I mean, I wouldn't have dreamt that this deal would have happened. I was just don't be afraid to dream, I guess. And if there's something you want, just figure out a way to get it. There's so many ways. And if you have the right situation, and again, the right seller, if you wanted to buy a business, you find the right opportunity. There are a million different ways to structure a deal that makes sense. Maybe it's a sweat equity deal. Maybe you come on board for a year to prove to them that you're worthy. Get to know them, get to know the business, and then kind of dive in. This one was unique in that I had already worked here. And I've been in the industry for 20 years, so I didn't need to learn about the business. But yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to just go after whatever you want. I mean, it sounds cheesy and everything else, but it is literally just do it. So
very interesting. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This was fun.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you. And
yeah, you too.
Thanks for doing it. Yeah. All right, I'll click the pause button. That was fun.
That was fun.